Well, welcome, my dude.
Thanks, man.
First episode of the Chase Merrell Podcast
That's right.
with my first guest, my first conversation of the podcast, and then of the 52 Project.
Yeah.
My brother, Landon Merrell.
Glad to be here, dude.
Yes, sir.
Let's go, dude.
It took a lot to get here.
Did.
Multiple layers. I mean, I'm not a podcast guy. I'm not a tech.
Now you are. You're in it.
Yeah, that's right.
You're doing it.
Here we are.
100%.
I'm not a video guy, not an audio guy.
You're getting there.
Yeah, that's your kind of specialty. That's your world.
More video than audio, but yeah, let's go with that.
You helped me get to this point tonight.
Hey.
Where we're recording this.
If it looks great, I did. If it doesn't, I didn't. How about that?
I knew you had to be my first guest. Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
I like it.
I could not wait to sit down and have a conversation with you.
Me too, man.
As my number one conversation of the 52 Project.
Yeah, man.
And in the fact that you were going to be up here in person, I was like, we got to do it in person. So here we are.
Yeah.
This whole thing is, I explained it in an intro podcast to kind of talk about what this 52 Project is.
Yeah.
But, 52 weeks, 52 conversations, 52 different people.
Yeah.
With people who have made an impact on my life and are making an impact in the world around them. And that's kind of I want to share I want to share the next 51 people with the world, whoever's going to listen to this.
Totally.
Because there's something incredible about who you are, what you're currently doing, what you've walked through to get to this point, and what you have in front of you that I want to share a piece of that with the world, and then talk about stuff that matters. Talk about stuff that's actually going to impact people with where they are. Before we jump into that conversation, give us a snapshot. Who are you? And we kind of talked about our connection in regards to why you're here.
Yeah. Who am I? Well, I think we all asked that question of ourselves a little bit. No, I am a first and foremost Christian, Christ follower who has been radically changed by Jesus in my life and the encounters I've had with him and the Bible itself. And I think what's cool is, I don't know, I think for me as Landon, I would say the statement under that would be now husband, got married this year, son and brother. Thank you. Pumped.
No. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, big deal. Married way up.
She's awesome.
She's incredible. Best things ever happened to me. Yeah. And I think for me, the title underneath all those titles would be dreamer at the end of the day. I think there's an element of I've always thought outside the box, always want to go to the next level of things. And I kind of think that we have this one little life to live on this earth and we can make as much impact in that time frame as we can. We don't really know when our number gets punched. So it's like, why not go all out? Like there's no dress rehearsals of this thing. So why not go for all the things that are put in your heart? And like to what you said about people pursuing their passions and their things they feel called to, and like, is God actually calling them to those things? I think you have to have a little bit of talent or some version of gifting in the area that you might feel called to. And if you don't, either you have to work insanely hard and put in the hours and the reps to get to that thing, or there's just this kind of natural thing that you're gifted with, that I believe. I also think that there's kind of written on your soul a little bit of some passions and some things. And so like for me, I'm pursuing film and television, but beyond that, or you take a step back, it's more storytelling in general. I love telling stories. I think it's the perfect medium in any kind of platform. I think I retain information better through storytelling anyway. So it's like a natural progression for me where it started with, dad's camera filming my action figures and throwing us into skits and sketches. And, and then I actually saw you acting in theater in high school and being like, oh, that's really cool watching Chase do that. And there's just so much humor in it. And
so just to make sure everybody hears this part, you were inspired by my acting.
Absolutely. 100%. You were, the improv you did with Johnny Hamner, those improv days with Zach Ramos, just all that theater stuff was awesome. And it just encouraged me. And I remember you were talented in it, but your calling was different. Where it was like I'm really talented in this. You were talented in music, communication, public speaking. But then it was like your passion was ministry. It was like people. You're like, I just want to love people and point people towards Jesus and make disciples. And it was like, awesome. And I had a very similar passion in high school and still to this day, but it was like my talents were different. My talents had a shift of like, and I remember we had a really good conversation in the car when I graduated high school, or right before I graduated high school, I think. And we were in this parking lot at a park near the high school. And you were like, okay, like you had 1 year left on earth. What would you do? You know, would you do ministry or would you like try to make a movie? And
you were like, you had some, not waffling, but you were trying to go
full blown ministry.
You really had a hard time between like, do I have to choose?
Yeah.
Like, right. Like, I feel like I have to choose the path. It's not like I could do both kind of thing.
Totally. Well, I felt like pursuing film was selfish. Like it was a weird thing where I was like, oh, I'm doing this fully for me. I can't do that. Like ministry didn't feel selfish to me. Ministry felt like, oh, I'm dedicating my life to like, getting people closer to God. So I was like, cool, like I can do that the rest of my life and never feel weird about it or guilty about it or shameful. And so with film, it was like, yeah, this is my greatest passion. And I love storytelling. I love filmmaking. I was obsessed since I was a kid. Like I'd watch the, BTS behind the scenes stuff on every single DVD for hours. And I watched stuff on repeat. And
there was like years of I mean, you would stay up for hours, whether it was watching movies or shows or YouTube videos and then wake up at, ungodly late morning hours. And I just got to say this because for so many people that either knew you in middle school or high school or knew us in our family or, have people in their life that have similar, like passions or giftings in that way, there was like at that point, it was like, dude, like, you can't stay up just watching movies all night. You can't just watch YouTube until 1 a.m. and then wake up at 11 a.m. and think like you're gonna succeed in life. Like,
totally.
A lot of people, and maybe even mom and dad, for me, I will just speak for me. I won't speak for mom and dad. I'll let them come on the podcast and speak for themselves. Maybe thought you were lazy or like just kind of like pipe dream kind of stuff. Like, man, you're gonna have to learn how to like wake up early and work hard and like watching YouTube's not gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it did. And I mean, what I've seen is all of that time was you coming into like the reality that your passion, your calling, your giftings were all beginning to like, come together towards a meeting place, and you were discovering that and identifying, okay, what does this look like? And all of that stuff was like investing into your creativity, your imagination, your ability to see something that nobody else could see, and learn from all of these different, whether writers, directors, actors, and go, that's how I want to, so none of that was really wasted. That led to you getting to where you are. So let me publicly like apologize. I have to.
No, because there was laziness built into it. But there's some quote, I think it was Steve Jobs. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this. But he said, "I'll find the laziest person." Is that going? Is good?
We're good. Okay. I'm gonna just make a double check.
Cool.
Keep going.
Okay, cool. I believe it was Steve Jobs, but he said, he goes, "I will put the laziest person on the hardest job because they'll find an easy way to do it." And so, in a weird way, it was like, I think at the time it was immaturity, but at the time it was like, oh, I want to just do this. I don't want to do anything else. But I would wake up at 5 a.m. to make a movie. Like, like my brain could wrap its head around, my head could wrap I don't know. I could wrap my head around waking up early in the morning to go make a movie any time of the day. Because it was like that creative thing clicked. But it was like pulling teeth to do anything else. And so I was like, okay, how do I mesh these worlds of like actually being able to exist and not have the parents worried about me or me being homeless, starving actor or whatever it is. And so, it was a lot of trying to cross those paths together. And then realizing that in the meantime of pursuing your dream, you do have to work the 9 to 5. You do have to like work your butt off on all these other things. And like within that stuff, I learned incredible work ethic. I had to work up early for things I didn't want to do. So then when the things did come down the pipeline of the passions and the projects I really wanted to be a part of or touch, those things were so much more worth it in the sense of like, oh, okay, I'm so glad I put on all that work on the things I didn't like, because now I have that work ethic and I get to apply it to things I do like. And then now these really cool projects get to come up and, I get to work the job I work right now. And even in the midst of that, I'm still working a job that is incredible and I'm super blessed to be a part of, but it's still not the end all be all goal of what I want to do or accomplish, but it's been incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think about too is the amount of, I mean, you talked at the very beginning about the tension between ministry or filmmaking or acting.
Yeah.
Right? Moving to LA, moving to Hollywood, trying to pursue the dream, or like being a pastor, or, and then, so we obviously, I took that path.
Yep.
I didn't necessarily feel that same tension between being an actor or a pastor. But the way that you ended up going that route, and I did end up feeling the call to full-time vocational ministry. Like, I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how the Lord used us in that way, pursuing those different things. Yeah. But at the same time, we've always, even though I went full-time ministry, because as a 2011 was my first full vocational ministry role. I didn't officially become a pastor until a couple years later, but from then till now, I fully feel called into the full-time ministry world, but I've always still had this heart and this like desire, and I really do still feel a call to impact the world outside of the four walls of the church, outside of vocational ministry, in a way that's out of the box. It's creative. I mean, part of why this is happening is because I recognized in high school, early in middle school, in 8th grade, I recognized this desire to reach all people in all places, in all times, to figure out a way to reach them with the gospel, with God's love, not with, just how to get a better life.
Chase,
right?
whatever,
my chase thoughts.
Totally.
It's Jesus all day, every day. But, but it was, and it's never left me. I've always still had this, like, how do I make an impact? Not in Hollywood necessarily, but like in the world that's outside of the church. And in parallel, you've always had a little bit of this, like, I'm here doing it. I'm grinding. I'm trying to make movies and write scripts and edit films and all that stuff. But I still have this deep passion for the Lord. Absolutely. This passion to reach people for Jesus. To have a fervent discipling spiritual life in my discipling experience and spiritual life to make a difference, and and almost a pastoral heart. And so it's just funny how like we went those ways, but we've always still kind of maintained this, like, I kind of want to still be in the other areas.
A foot in each world, for sure. Right. Yeah.
And that's hard. I think that's something that, I really wrestled with, still wrestle with how to, you used the word selfish. I felt like I was being selfish, like it was all for me. Where even in ministry now, if I do something like this, where I'm making a podcast,
it feels selfish.
Yeah, my name's on it.
Your name's on it.
And it's like, well, first of all, everybody and their mom's got a podcast. It feels like everybody's trying to do something, like, especially through the last 2 to 3 years, COVID and everything else. And there's it's oversaturated in every different market between podcasts and YouTube channels and videos and TikTok, whatever else. And so, why would I do this if it was, this is how I thought. Why would I do this if it wasn't for me trying to make my name bigger or try to bring attention to myself? And I've always wrestled with that, being in ministry, how to go, can I do this? Is this possible without me, a bunch of people thinking X, Y, or Z about my motives or judging whatever about this? And that's crippled me at times from stepping into this space and then sticking with it. Because I've dabbled with it for years.
Totally.
But then there's something that makes me, in my own insecurities, go like, I can't keep doing this.
Well, that's it right there. It's insecurities. I think we're very similar in this way where, like, it's funny. Because we both listen to podcasts, right? We both have our favorite movies, television shows, music, whatever it is. But it's like all day long we could have somebody else doing it and we're fully supporting. We're gung-ho for that person. Right. We're like, let's go. But the moment you put your own name on it, it does a weird thing. It's this imposter syndrome. It's this, it's funny. It's like immediately I go, oh no, I don't want to associate or I don't want to put my name on it, because there is a level of like self, self-worth or whatever the term might be. But like, it's funny is I believe in all my friends so much, right? I believe in you. I believe in all these people. Like I would put my career on the line for these people because I believe in their ability and their talent and who they are just as a person. And it's like, but the moment it comes to me, I'm like, oh no. Like there's this weird, immediate, almost like hesitation, self-rejection, imposter syndrome moment. And so what I'm realizing now, especially like, so you're starting a podcast or me pursuing film or whatever it is, it's like, if you look at the big picture and you think about the podcast you've listened to that's been like, man, that just changed my whole week or made my whole day, or that movie that like made you cry and changed your perspective or created some incredible empathy. It's like, it would be selfish of that person not to create that content. Right. It's like a weird conundrum where it's like, if they were like, no, I'm just going to keep it all to myself, then technically it becomes like, or at least in my brain, it becomes a selfish thing if you don't express or share those incredible things that maybe the Lord's gifted you with. So it's like, okay, Chase Merrell is an incredible communicator, understands people, a great listener, a great storyteller, right? And even, gosh, what was it, like 2 years ago, he did the, was it Max Licata? What was it? Was it John Eldridge? You did a John Eldridge podcast and you interviewed him. And I remember I was on a plane and I'm listening to, I can't remember where I was going. And I remember thinking, why has Chase not done this his whole entire life? Like I just remember thinking that thought so clearly of like, you are a gifted communicator. You have this heart for people. You want to see people come to Jesus. And beyond all that too, it's like, you're just good at communicating. So it's like, what other medium would you be able to do? Right. So it's like, so of course your brain goes, oh no, like every mom and whatever have a podcast, or it's already too saturated, or people are already doing this, or like, come look at me and my whatever. It's like, no, it's like the impact that can come from you pursuing your dreams, you stepping out of your comfort zone, you pushing through that weird self denial version of like, you know, like I said, imposter syndrome, I'll probably say it 1,000 times in this thing. You have to like almost murder it and go forward anyway. Yeah. Because one, you're like me, I'll be impacted by this selfishly as your brother, hearing you talk and have incredible conversations with people that have impacted your life. There could be that little nugget of wisdom or that like life story that's literally somebody's going through, and it helps them get through their week or through their day. Right. And even with me within filmmaking, it's the same thing where, yeah, there's a little bit of escapism for sure, or a lot of it. But the beauty of that is those days where I have that terrible day and I throw on The Office or New Girl, or I watch Interstellar and it takes me somewhere else completely, right? It's like, or you throw in your, comfort movie like a Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or Star Wars. It's like, man, that stuff can help you get through your day or through a hard time or connect you. The best thing to me is little side quest here. You're at a party, you meet people for the first time. You can ask the classic question, what do you do for a living, right? Or you can be like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And immediately you can have a complete stranger be like, oh, dude, I loved Inception or Interstellar. You have something to talk about. Right. There's this common ground where like, oh, I love that movie. Or you can be like, I didn't like that movie. Whatever the thing is, it creates immediate discussion and almost like a trust where like that and sports and music can do that thing where it's like, and we all have like, yeah, it's, it's the social media, whatever, but like you have this ability to connect with an absolute stranger, right, and open a door for authentic conversation and communication or whatever the thing is. Whereas if you didn't have those things, that media, that source of whatever content, it wouldn't have that icebreaker, if you will. Right. So I think that's the beauty of it in that sense. And then kind of going back to what we're talking about, the pushing past self thing. It's like, if you weren't you and this podcast was out there, would you go listen to it? Right. Yeah. It'd be a pastor.
That's what I want. I mean, I believe I would.
100%.
Yeah.
You would. I would. It's just because it's you that makes you go, oh no, I shouldn't, or I can't. Yeah. And so, and I'm speaking to myself here.
I think some of it for me too is that I am so like the thought of me getting in the way of the gospel being purely presented, or that there could be a sense or how I'm trying to say, that there could be an ounce of somebody going, I don't want the gospel because he's just doing this because he wants to whatever, make his name bigger or whatever else. Yeah. For me, if that's even a potential, like I'm out. I don't care. This is about me. No. If this is gonna tarnish or blemish or take away the power or the thought of who God is because of that. So for so much of me, that's been my fear. It's I don't want to do something that jeopardizes the effectiveness of the gospel being preached or communicated out of me in my life, or the organizations, the churches, the ministries that I'm a part of, the people I'm connected to. So I'm not going to do that because I know that there's been times where, and again, this is me too. Like this is an admission of guilt to some degree, being vulnerable with a weakness that I've got. When I have seen other people in the ministry or pastoral space do things like this, man, and it just sucks. It sucks that this is the truth, but it is the truth. There have been thoughts of like, and they're doing it because they want to sell a book, or they're doing it because they think it's the cool thing to do, and they're just trying to, And I've had those thoughts about them, and their pastors and their ministers. Yeah. So I think I've even like self-imposed my own. And again, even so, it's like this cyclical or like unhealthy, toxic cycle of like, I think they might be doing this, and that's their motive, and I don't ever want to be looked at or thought about like them in that way. So I better
not even try.
Right? And there's almost that like it's unhealthy. Like what the heck's my problem? The same thing you're telling me right now about like the gift should be the way that I think and go, man. Praise God for that person stepping into that space, because someone is going to go listen to that or watch that.
It's going to make them open a Bible for the first time.
That may never get the message or be open to it in the ways that are more quote unquote, the way we do it.
Absolutely.
And so that's been part of my journey to get here, for years.
Yeah.
Is just that fear. I don't want my name to be the reason why somebody goes, oh, see, he's just. Yeah. And I'm at the point now where I have to, I'm turning 32.
Dang. Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, dang. 32. Gosh. Yeah. Turning 32 this year. Yeah. And I have had the desire or the longing. Yeah. And really the calling. I feel like God has put it in my heart. I don't want to over spiritualize it, because I think I can do that. I've done it before. People can do that, but since I was in high school, to step into a space to make a difference, make an impact, make an influence in the world around me, in ways that they're boundless. There's no boundaries around what it could just be anywhere with anyone, anytime. Yeah. And influencing it for the kingdom. And so from 15 till 31, almost 32, I've felt like for half my life I've been in and out. And I just finally hit this point this last year. And this last year 2022 was probably the most challenging year of my life. Yeah. Personally.
Yeah, but yeah.
And I'm sure throughout this 52 project, more of that will come out. Just the journey that I kind of walked out, as I have conversations. But it's been the most challenging. 2022 was the most challenging year personally for me in ways I experienced struggles and obstacles and challenges I'd never experienced before. Yeah. And at times it felt like, it was unbearable. Yeah. And so coming into 2023, I finally was like, I don't know if I feel strong enough for this. I don't know if I feel equipped enough for this. But man, if I go another year without stepping into this space and whatever it becomes, if this is it, if it's 1 year and I just follow through.
Does it just fall
on
through?
On the 52 conversations in this course of this year, then again, I will look back on it and go, it was all still worth it. I got to have 52 meaningful conversations with people that have impacted me in my life, and that was awesome. Yeah. People will listen and watch, and it'll impact them, in ways that, I can't even know. No. But I just knew this is it. This is the year I'm stepping into this. Yeah. And can it continue to be who God's called me to be in all of the other spaces first and foremost, my healthy relationship with Jesus for me. Yeah. It's where it all flows. Yeah. Then my marriage. My bride, Holly's got to have the best of me. Yeah. She deserves the best of me. She is a lot of the best of me. And then my 4 kids. Yeah. I want to be the best freaking dad that ever walked. Not because it's a competition, but because I got one shot to be the best dad I could be. Yeah. That's what matters most. And then a pastor. I'm a pastor, obviously here in Washington, for those that know me. And I love my church, and I love my community that I have yet to even really reach. And that's my priority. I'm called to be a pastor. And in all that, there's this recognition and realization that I can't delay any longer with other things that God has deposited in my heart to make an impact for the kingdom.
Yeah.
And have great conversations like I'm about to have over this year, like I'm having with you.
Totally.
And so I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know this year I got to do it.
Yeah, do it.
Got to do it.
Have to. I think I think beyond all the stuff, it's like you said, it's the follow through at this point where it's like, if you just go forward, even if you're like, this sucks, or this is not what I wanted it to be, or, I don't know, you just get self-doubt or whatever the thing is, but you just push through it. And at the end of the year, like you said, even if like cameras are off, you're still having 52 meaningful conversations that are impacting even that person or yourself. Like, that's the beauty of it. And then it's like, so it's cool is, and I think going back to what we were talking about, the selfishness side of things, I think there's always going to be that element of like, oh, we watched the other pastor start a podcast or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, they're just doing this because they want to do it, but whatever. It's like, that's always going to be there. Yeah. So you might as well just do it anyway, because going and doing this thing, even if it's one person that hears it and it helps their week or pushes them towards the right thing or whatever, it's like, your gifting is this. You can speak into lives. You can have incredible conversations. Your passion is that already. And then now it's like, yeah, you just have to literally follow through and just continue to do it, because your time's going to pass anyway. And like you said, you're 32. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what happens when you're 33? And not that you should do metrics by age, but I think there's an element of like, if this was my last year on earth and this is what I want to do with my life, it's like, I'd rather try. I'd rather just try. Like, just go for it. And if things come from it, great. Or if it completely shifts you in a completely different direction and that's what God's calling to anyway, great. I just think it's like this weird thing where we're being hesitant and being hindered by our own self, whatever. We're human. There's going to be sin. There's going to be selfishness attached to everything. So might as well go forward with the things you feel like the Lord's calling you to, the giftings that he's put on you, and then just see what comes from it.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then and the cool thing too is, I think you're going to be blessed by, of course, other people's conversation and wisdom that comes from that stuff. But like, by the end of it, you're going to be excellent at it. I think you already are excellent, but it's like, you're only going to get better every single conversation you have and every single thing that comes along. And then your text going to get better. Your background's going to get better.
Well, yeah, like
lighting.
Like, I'm manually.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do all this yet. The different screens.
Change shots.
Right? Ready?
You can do it. Oh, look at that. It's cold. Oh. There it is. Well, there you go. See, now you know. Okay, but listen, we talk with our hands. Don't know what it is. Just.
We are big hand talkers.
We
talk a lot.
Yeah, we do. You can ask our wives, our friends, our parents.
Don't ask my church. There are days I go, why are you guys still here?
Is that what we're pursuing, the things we pursue,
I guess so.
Like, I'm a writer / whatever, and you're a, pastor. It's like, we have to speak and then people have to listen to us, kind of thing,
interesting. That's an interesting thought, because I know I've heard a few different people, even in the recent, like, few years, that when it comes to like toxic leadership or narcissistic leaders, that there's a lot of traits of somebody that says, I want to be the top leader. More specifically, I want to be the top leader of a church. I want to lead a church.
Yeah.
That's somebody that has the ability
to think that thought.
Yeah. Is
some
fundamentally a narcissist.
Yeah.
Because they understand, or there's that, I want to be the guy.
I have to be the leader. Right?
Yeah. I've wrestled with that, right? Because like, obviously, like, in the ministry space especially, there's a lot of other professions or careers or vocations that I have not done them. Obviously, I've been a pastor for 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
I haven't been a lead pastor that long. I've only been a lead pastor for just over a year.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other vocations out there that are maybe a lot less. There's a lot less that you have to. I don't know. I mean,
I know what you're saying. So like, I can only compare it to film, right? But it's like, everybody wants to be an actor because they're on screen and they're the main whatever. But then there's people that are like, oh, I want to be a director because they get to call the shots, right?
Right.
And then you could be anything in a film set. You can be a PA, you can be a grip, whatever it is. And they quote unquote seem like lesser things, but everybody has their place and piece, and the thing doesn't work without those people, which is incredible. But there's a weird thing where, and this is my own opinion here, but if you have a natural leadership ability, you can take charge, you can communicate, and you can cast a vision to go forward. It's like, I think you can accomplish anything. And yeah, it might not be exactly what you're envisioning, but I think at the end of the day, I think anything by committee is terrible, right? Movies by committee is terrible. Yeah. Books by committee, sermons by committee. I just think if you have a committee of people trying to accomplish one unique vision and they're all at the top, or there's that many chefs in the kitchen, it's going to be bad food. It's going to be a bad movie. It's going to be a bad script, bad sermon, whatever it is. You have to have organic, like one pathway thought in the sense of, even if you're wrong, in the sense of leadership, not saying, I mean, if you're preaching sermon, it's a little bit different because you're, basing everything off the Bible and yeah, absolutely. But in the sense of leadership, let's just say that, I think there's an element of, that's the hard, even in any type of thing, right? Being a policeman, whatever it is, you have to make decisions fast and quick, and you have to make them as calculated as you can in the moment, but you have to keep pressing forward because lives are at stake. That's a little bit more heavy duty, intense. But in the sense of filmmaking, same thing, time is money, and either we're going to get the shot or not. And if it's not working, great. I have to make the call to make sure that thing works out some possible way so the thing can move forward and the vision can be accomplished, even if it's not as close. Like just swinging at it, I think is good.
Yeah, and I think for me too, I don't ever want to lose that like consistent sensitivity to the Lord. Less sensitivity to people in the sense of I want to decrease in my like what do they think about what I'm doing or not.
That's good, yeah.
But I don't want to lose the God, what do you think about it? Check my heart, like search my heart, oh God, kind of thing. Like I don't ever want to lose that thought that like at any point you can speak into this and help call me out and go, hey, you've lost sight of whatever it is. And you're now doing this in something that's more for you than it was for me. So there's something about the like hesitancy or the humility or hesitancy that I don't want to lose.
Yeah, you want to keep it.
Right. 100%. But then finding that balance between being confident. And if, hey, someone sees you and they're like, oh, you're just, you're a pastor because you just want you want people to just come hear you talk every week. I've heard people say like, that's why people, that's why narcissists become pastors, because they're just like, you think I have something important to say, come hear me say it. Right. Maybe that's part of why they also start podcasts. I'm like, God, Lord, so I wrestle with that. Right. I don't ever want to lose that like, God, if that's true, like expose it, because I don't ever want to think to myself that I'm above, whether it's correction, whether it's just humbling, so I just think that it's a unique balance to hold.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in leadership. Yeah.
Right. And I think that there are different personalities that people lean different ways where they struggle with one more than the other. Totally. But I think both ends of the spectrum of the extremes are unhealthy. Like you can be overly confident and give a crap about what anybody thinks. And you lean more of that narcissistic, like, I'm the best, I know it's right, and y'all don't. Versus the other side, which is just, doormat. I don't matter, and I'm always gonna fail, and I'm always like, people are gonna.
You never tried anything.
Right? They're both unhealthy. Neither side honor God the best. That's what I think I'm learning more, and I'm hoping this next year for me is just gonna be. I want to grow in that area as a person, and as a pastor, and as a leader, as somebody that's making an influence in people's lives. And so, I think it's intentional. And I think a lot of people just don't know how to hold that tension. And so they just give up. Or they lean into going like, I'm just going to be this guy.
Full narcissist just to make sure you can get done.
Or I'm never going to step into that thing because I don't.
I think you hit a good point, because it's like, I think that's the beauty of it is you wanting to stay in touch with I don't want to get too far in my own whatever, right? Like your own Chase, recipe. It's like, that's huge to keep that constant. So it's like, it's harder on you as the individual because you're having to always wrestle it. But I think that's the beauty of it is, and it's encouraging to me, is like, oh no, I don't want to get rid of that wrestle. I don't want to get rid of that tug at my heart that keeps me humble, keeps me constantly checking in and like reflecting and in my prayer time and like, my study and whatever. It's like, oh, like, am I living my life according to the Bible? Am I aligning with that? having that constant check-in, because if you're like, oh no, I'm good, it's like, no, like, you could get off path so fast. Right. So I think you're right, where it's like, don't get rid of the wrestle, keep it in your life, so you can constantly have that iron sharpening iron stuff, you know.
And for me, it's a good reminder, even as we're talking, just to my identity has to be anchored in Jesus.
Yeah.
And so does yours. Yeah. And so does anybody else that's 100%. Listening. And that no matter what happens, that's what my identity is in Jesus, whether this is something that works or it doesn't, or if when the day comes, I need this, or you need acting or writing or a movie to be made, which again, when you feel called, passionate about something, you've given a lot of years and sacrifice and hours and blood and sweat and tears, you know, it becomes a part of you, right? Identity wise. But like that is something that we've got to be very careful and cautious with, because at the end of the day, as a follower of Jesus, right, my identity is in Jesus. And so whether I never get another microphone or another platform or another pulpit or another audience again, I'm okay. Yeah. Because I'm secure and satisfied in Jesus. Totally. That's hard, right? It's easier said concept, you know, conceptually than done. But I have to, that's part of where I have to go each day. And because I need it each day to remember, no matter what happens in this endeavor today of dream, passion, pursuit, your identity is wrapped up in Jesus, period. Yeah. And then having other people help remind me of that, because that's hard sometimes to state it on your own.
Hear it, and right? Well, and I think, because you can get lost in the sauce pretty fast when you're like passionate about something and you're driven. And like, I'm one to talk for sure. I think, but you're right. At the end of the day, that's what it has to be, because if I'm like, if I start putting film above God or my wife or whatever, it's like that stuff will. Yeah. For one, it's never going to satisfy. Two, it's a endless mountain, and then you get to the top of it, it's very lonely. So I think that at the end of the day, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like keeping that check and rooting that into your, not just daily, but like moment by moment. Because, and that's the thing too, I definitely, especially when I have like a goal in mind and I'm going towards something, like I can get so tunnel vision and get so focused on like accomplishing things. And I will say there's an element that's healthy of, I think I always need a project to like keep me motivated, keep me going towards goals, blah, blah, blah. But when that project becomes above God, that's when it's like, no, dude, you kill that. Because even at the, like you said, at the end, like if I keep saying that one last year of life thing, right? But if the last year of my life, if I'm only known as a filmmaker, I failed. Right. Period, over now, right? If I'm only known as like, oh, he's such a great storyteller, I failed. I hope that last year of my life, if you will, or that my actual lifetime, is he was a follower of Christ. That's the first thing you know about me. And that's hard, because that's, like I said earlier, when you're meet anybody, the first thing they ask you is, oh, what do you do? It's just like such a simple whatever. But then so we immediately associate our identity with what we do, our occupation. And that's what's so dangerous, because one, you can lose your job like that. It can be gone. And two, if you're not succeeding in your occupation or you don't love your occupation, your identity is, and it's not rock, it's sand, right? So it's like if your identity is not rooted in Christ, then you're gonna falter. Your house will break on the sand. And so it's like keeping yourself rooted in Christ first, and that's the thing too. It's like all these things are fun and awesome and great, but it's like, at the end of the day, if filmmaking becomes ahead of my marriage, or and I have to remind myself of these things, because I can get so transfixed on a goal or accomplishing something, or I need to go, freaking full tilt towards this thing to get this thing accomplished because we need to make this much money, or we have to do this, whatever it is. And it's like, you get lost in the sauce so fast. Yeah. And then you're like, oh shoot, I'm a little bit farther than I want to be. Yeah. And not to, I think too is it comes down to attention as well. Cause like, I think sometimes we're like, well, I'm not sinning. I'm not, this, or I'm not.
But your heart motive.
But exactly. Yeah. So your heart. Exactly. And then it becomes this weird thing where it's like, but how much more time are you spending on your phone than in the Word, or in your prayer time, or with other people, So it's just this constant balance. It's this constant checking in. But it's like, and it's funny because my exhausted goal side goes, well, just, cross the thing off the list, get it done, and then you'll be good. And it's like, no, but life doesn't, the existing in a constant relationship with either a spouse or, brother, friendship, whatever it is. It's like, you can't just be like, okay, we're good. We've accomplished all the things. We're good. Sure. No, it's a constant, investment. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think it's going to be a journey. No matter where you land on the spectrum right now, it's still going to be a journey ahead. Yeah. If you want to grow, and I know I want to grow. I know you want to grow. I know we have grown.
Totally.
Okay. Before we kind of come to the conclusion of the first episode, because where we are on time, we got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Most. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Like, for people that don't know you, I want this to be my moment where I'm like, yo, this is my brother. He's getting to do this stuff right now, not just because it got handed to him, but because he's been working his tail off for a long time, and he's getting to see some of that stuff start to pay off. But still, again, you, like you said earlier, you're not necessarily doing what you like the end goal.
Yeah.
But like, can you give some people a snapshot, like just over even the last couple of years, totally. Like not elongated, maybe not Chase and Landon version, if you will, maybe like
well, Spark Notes.
Yeah.
100%.
But so like where are you working, who you working for, and then the specific thing that you're about to step into in the next few weeks that is on the horizon with your short film coming. I just want to share that with people because it's stinking awesome, and I'm really, really proud of you.
Thanks, man.
Really proud of you. I'll talk more about that in a second. Okay, just go.
So I've been pursuing film since I was like, kid, but started like officially pursuing film at 15. Worked my butt off, a lot of different stuff. Moved to LA in 2016. April 1st will be 7 years in LA, and worked a lot of weird jobs, different things, blah, blah, blah.
Starbucks.
I mean, Apple, all some stuff.
Ted Baker.
Ted Baker. Thought it was a bakery when I applied. It wasn't. It is a high-end fashion store inside Bloomingdale's, and I lied my butt off to get through that door and get that job, so worked out.
You happen to be Ted Baker and you're listening to this podcast.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, or you were the hiring.
No, I said this shirt looks great on you. I did not know. I'll be honest. I hope so, but no. So then I got a phone call from an incredible creator named Jeff Blank. He was just like, hey, we're doing this. I need somebody to edit this thing for Will Smith's company called Westbrook. I was like, cool, and we like met a couple different times at birthday parties, things like that. I sent him the editing stuff I had done. I've been editing for years, but just not in like that social media vein of things. And he's like, cool, do you have any other kind of stuff? And I just done some projects, whatever. He checks them out. He's like, great. And then he calls me back. He's like, hey, actually, we don't need you. And I was like, okay. And I had this moment where I was like, oh, I actually really wanted that. I really wanted to like try and see what happens. And so like 2 days later, I was praying about it, and I got a phone call from him again. He's like, hey, we do need you. Can you come in Monday? I was like, great. So I came in, and I worked that, and I was working at Apple at the time for, I think it was like 46 days straight, no days off, because I couldn't quit my job because I didn't know if it was going to go anywhere. And then I got to the spot where I was like, I got to take this leap. I think this is an incredible thing. I met Will on my first day, coolest guy ever. Honestly, he's the best boss I've ever had. And then boom, I was in. I was working my butt off, and I think it was a month and a half in, I did some edit that just went great, and they loved it, and it went kind of viral enough to they kept me around.
It was Will's Instagram.
Will's Instagram, yeah, and it was the signature piece where he signs a different signature every 10 years, and he so he can remember the decade. Yeah, and it was just like boom, and I was in.
I think that was the first time. I mean, because I've seen you do some incredible stuff up to that point, but I think that was the first time I was like, where did he learn to do that? What? Did you see this dude? That's so professional.
Well, thanks, bro. So been working for him and Westbrook with incredible talented people that are way better than me at everything, and I get to learn from them every single day. And I work with these incredible editors in our post department at Westbrook, and guys like Parker Reiniga and Mike Malarkey and Brian Vanucci. These guys that are excellent at what they do, and they're the caliber of editors that I strive to be every single day. And so we get to create these incredible things, these organic things. We get to be a part of this incredible process. And it's been such a great company to work for and learning so much while also getting to make stuff. And then you get posted on an account that has millions of followers, and you get to see millions of people interact with your content and your things you're creating. And it was just like such a cool thing. So I've been doing that for, July I hit my 3-year mark. So that was crazy. And then, I have been writing screenplays, and my ultimate goal is to be a writer director, and I'd love to still act in comedies and do things like that, but my goal is to be a writer director, and I want to do dark sci-fi. And so I think people don't know that. And so here I am writing these screenplays, and I want to make this feature film and different things like that. And then it kind of clicks. I'm like, oh, people haven't seen what I can do as a writer director yet. They've kind of just seen all the comedy stuff and the sketches and the acting and editing. And so I was just like, oh, I have to go make something that can show what I can do. And quick little thing. I was at some Emmys contender thing when I was like 22. I just got to LA or something. And all these different people, Kevin Costner, different people were just speaking at this thing, and I just randomly ended up at this thing. And every single one of them had the same kind of note. They were like, oh, I saw this person in this thing. I knew I had to work with them. Right. Or, oh, I saw this show and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. But I was taking notes. Every single person in this Emmys contender thing was talking about, and the line always started with, I saw them in this thing. And it clicked as like, oh, I have to make stuff to get stuff. Like, I have to make stuff so things can happen. So it's like, it's never coming. It's never coming my way. I have to go out and do it. And so I was like, screw it. Let's go. Let's make something. Even if, pride or whatever it is, like, I don't want to make another short film. I don't want to do another thing. I was like, you know what? No, I really want to do this. So I took one of my feature films, condensed a couple scenes down to make this short film, dark sci-fi. We raised $10,000 to make it. And we've been doing pre-production from literally the first week of August all the way till currently. Right now, today, we just got the permits, everything figured out today. Got signed up. Awesome producer, Dominic Cabonin, crushing it. Parker, Mark Renninga, and David, all of them have been crushing it. Chris Baldwin was my first AD. All of them are crushing it. It's been incredible. So now we are going into January 9th. We were starting our first day of production. We're shooting just for 4 days, but it's the longest I've done via directing, and it's the first time I've never been in something I'm directing via like a film.
Right.
And it's dark sci-fi, which is my passion, and we're just doing all systems go. We're just going to go as hard as we can, trying to make something really cool that we hope that people like. And if it opens doors, great. If it doesn't, I just want to make something so cool that we're proud of it. Yeah. And it hopefully connects with people. And we have incredible talent attached. David Gridley, Cameron Capithwaite, Nakoa Decoit, Marina Gridley. Just so excited to work with talented friends that are passionate and have these incredible giftings that I just want to put on display with my friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I got to read the script. Yeah. I know you've made some edits since you sent me that. I think, revision of second or third revision.
Yeah.
But I can't wait. All the people you just named that are involved and people that have already supported it. And I think it's going to be something for you. Not only will you go, this is an awesome thing that we got to create, but the stuff you're going to be learning you already learned, but you're going to be learning along the way, all the way until that thing is done and you push the final, button for upload or however it gets released or whatever, is a huge deal. And it's a huge face step, right? Like there's a huge risk involved. Like you're inviting other people to support you, financially and all these different ways for it to happen. And all of that comes with a little bit more anxiety of like, okay, I better actually do this thing, so,
the follow through of actually making it, even if you're like, feel like it's falling apart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, seeing it through in a way that's a great outcome as well, but I can't wait, dude. It's going to be so cool. And you're made for this.
Thanks, bro.
You're made for this stuff. And that right there, that very thing is when I think about, people that have impacted my life. I mean, you're up at the top of my list, bro.
Thanks, man.
And my younger, we've talked about this before. You are at least 6 or 7 inches taller than me. I'm not going to stand up right now. I've written songs about it. I've worn your hand-me-downs most of my life. Younger brother, that the way I've watched you from middle school, high school, all the way till now, not give up pursuing stuff that didn't always make sense, but man, God put in your heart, and you knew it was bigger than just a passion or a desire or a hobby. It's a calling. It's something that God's wired into you that is bigger than just the thing itself.
Yeah.
The way that you've not let rejection, obstacles, insecurities, fears,
rejection again,
more rejection,
and again,
stop you
yeah,
from continuing to step into the next thing, has impacted me in ways you will never be able to understand, because I'm on the outside watching, going, this dude is still going. Man, I can keep going. And I think, the people that know you, I've already experienced that. But there's a lot of people that don't know you yet or know that part of your story that are going to be impacted by that one day as well. Like, this dude kept going, and that's why he is where he's got. The Lord is why he's where he's got.
100%, yeah.
With that tenacity and that relentless stick-to-itiveness and resiliency, and so, man, that's the thing I want to like finish with, and honoring you and celebrating you and just saying I'm so freaking proud of you. You haven't given up, and man, that's inspired me throughout our later adult year, our early adult years, but that's really inspired me over this last year and a half, 2 years, knowing what you've gone through, had to overcome, personal life, work life, all these different things, these valleys and these mountaintops, to continue to just keep walking forward and not giving up on the things God's placed in your heart, has inspired the heck out of me. And I love you so much. And again, the love is not connected to what you produce, what you've created, what you could create. It's in your heart, because in all that stuff, man, the way you love people, you care for people, you see them, you make them feel valued and just like they matter, because they do. Along the way, like, you don't just use people. That's the other thing that stands out in the Hollywood world, or the movie business world that you're in. Man, not everybody, it seems like everybody has got some kind of ulterior motive to go, like, how do I use this relationship or this connection to help me get to the next thing?
Yeah.
And man, since the 7 years you've been down there this round, like, that has not, I know you, but like in those moments where we've connected and I've talked and gotten to be a part, that's not you. In fact, a lot of times you've taken it's almost been the opposite. Like, you've taken the hit, or, whatever else relationally, because you want to care about people more than what you can gain, or you'll do the favor knowing that you aren't going to have any connection or any other step.
Yeah.
And I just think, man, like that speaks about who you are as a man, in your character. And that's the kind of stuff I know that the Lord has honored, but will continue to honor in this endeavor with the dreams and the things he's placed in your heart. So do that, man. Keep doing that.
Thanks,
keep being that light in a dark place.
Thanks, man.
And know you got, somebody that's like just your absolute dude in your corner. Let's go to war.
Yeah, man.
Got your back. Wish I had a bunch of money to give you to just whatever film you needed to do. God. And just excited for what the Lord has in store for you. But man, thanks for, again, I said in the beginning, this wouldn't be happening without you. And I know that this next year is going to be a journey to really continue to say yes, even when it's hard. You text me as I was talking to you about this whole process about, man, I really feel like this could be the year I really step into this. And you just said 100%, your text was just to kind of push me over the edge that day you sent that text. But one of the things you said that really stood out was like, man, you're going to have days where you're like, I can't do this anymore, or it doesn't feel like anybody's watching or listening or making an impact. And you just got to keep going. You got to keep creating. You got to keep doing this thing, and just know that over time, the consistency is going to be one of the things that begins to make the longer lasting impact and influence. And so, thanks for pushing me.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I believe in it. I believe in you. I believe in this whole thing. And I think it's about dang time that Chase Merrell started a podcast. So I'm pumped for you, praying for you. And I'm in your corner, bro. I want to see you succeed. And even if you, quote unquote, don't succeed by the world standards, like you as a Christ follower, as a dad, and as a brother, and as a son, and as a friend, I think you're absolutely crushing it. And I look up to you in every single way. So I
appreciate it.
Pumped for this next year for you, man.
Well, you don't look up to me in every single way, because
not physically, because your boy's 6 foot, and yeah.
There you have it.
All right.
There you have it. Episode 1.
Episode 1.
1 of 52.
Woo.
Conversations with the Project.
Yeah, 51.
Way 51 left. 51 to go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby.